Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the new home of power mining analysis. Well, Anthony Power and I's time in Europe has come to an end. We're back at home in our respective countries, and good thing because Bitcoin has decided to break out over the weekend. As of the time of recording, Bitcoin is flirting with $66,000 US, and obviously that's having a big impact on the Bitcoin mining stocks themselves. Now we're going to talk about that and a number of other key updates in today's presentation. Before we do though, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. Big help to myself and the channel. Anthony loves it. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below how you're feeling about the mining sector overall, your price target on Bitcoin for the final few months of 2024, and how your portfolio is looking based on this morning's open. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, guys, so that's right. Anthony Power and I are back from our endeavor to Amsterdam, a phenomenal Bitcoin conference. Anthony, you've actually been the last 2 years, and you mentioned not only in terms of attendance, but just overall energy, excitement, and number of presenters this year really stacked up quite favorably, hey?
Yeah, it was a great conference, probably twice as many as last year. And to be honest with you, when you think about the speakers they had last year, they had some, really good speakers last year. And I looked at initial list this year, and I wasn't as sure as we were going to have a packed house every day. But looking at the numbers of people, especially in the orange stage where most of the sort of mining related panels were taking place, it was standing room only. And you were on early on the first day of the conference, 10:30, and believe you me, there was probably about 50 people stood up, couldn't get enough seats for them all. So. And I was on a couple of hours after you. It was the same then again. So it was really, really impressive. The main stage was good. We got to see some of the headline speakers there. I was really pleased to see Amanda Fabiano interview Zach from CleanSpark. That was a good discussion based there. But there was many more. As Jack Moore was on the stage. Dylan Leclerc, Adam, who we managed to get a photograph with. So he was probably the OG of the whole conference, really. And if you get a chance to have 5 minutes, really, really approachable. We're planning to hopefully get him on the podcast the next few weeks. We'll drop him a note. He's very open to doing that and give a little bit of his history, because there's a handful of people in this space who've got as much history around Bitcoin than Adam has, and that really is a handful. We're talking on one hand. So we can get him on the podcast. That'll be great for him to give us an education for 30 minutes on what he sees happening at the moment and where the future lies for Bitcoin.
It certainly will. And Adam, you're referring to is Adam Back. He's actually the founder or creator of Hashcash. So a lot of people have stipulated, or at least considered him to be very close with Satoshi in the origin of Bitcoin and the creation of the blockchain network. So super interesting. We actually got the pleasure of chatting with him for probably 45 minutes, Anthony. And I had asked him this cycle in terms of his Bitcoin price prediction, where does he think we could go? He thinks Bitcoin may get to parity in terms of market cap with gold. However, he did say as people start to see this happening, they may rebalance out of gold into Bitcoin. So with that being said, he was giving a price in the neighborhood of $450,000 US this cycle in terms of his personal prediction. Now, again, that's not financial advice. That was an off the cusp discussion, but just gives you some indication of how excited people are about Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin. Now, in addition to that, Anthony, over the weekend, some big developments in the United States. Really does appear that Donald Trump and the Republicans are starting to pull ahead in the election, at least from what we can see in the polls. That's breathing a lot of life into Bitcoin among all of these other catalysts like the ETF, like the conference. And lo and behold, Bitcoin now, fast forward to Monday morning, is flirting with $66,000 US, Anthony. So quite a move for the cryptocurrency over the weekend, and obviously a step in the right direction for anyone in this space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I normally get most of my news from Saturday Night Live, and there was some good takes on the two running for presidency. So yeah, an interesting position. I think Trump's obviously got a big fan base. He was president 4 years ago, so he's got that them voters all rallied up there, and he's doing his rounds now. I mean, nothing's stopping this guy really. He's been shot at twice in the last couple of months. So, and we had the pleasure of being literally 50 feet away from him in Nashville. So we got to hear firsthand his views on Bitcoin. It's very positive. And it's surprising me we've not heard as much from the Democrats in terms of, the fact there's 40 to 50 million people in America who've got crypto of some sort in custody, and maybe they should be thinking a little bit more aligned to that there, because I think at the end of the day we all want Bitcoin to come through this, whoever gets into power. So I'm surprised they've not utilized that messaging as much as the Republicans certainly have.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised as well, slow playing it almost. And it's hard to, I guess, ignore the correlation between Donald Trump and Elon Musk now. They seem to be best mates, Anthony, hanging out like you and I do every day at these rallies. And for anyone who did not see over the weekend, Elon had quite a busy week. He did the We Robot event with Tesla. So they unveiled all of their new AI and essentially self-driving automated taxi network. And they were able to land that rocket ship and catch it midair. I don't know if you saw the videos, Anthony, but really hard to argue with someone that's that innovative, that progressive. Really one of the technologists of our generation. And obviously, he's putting his support in the camp of RFK and Trump, who have both come out very supportive of Bitcoin. So definitely looking like things are moving up. Now, in terms of things moving up for the miners, Bitcoin price has a big impact on hash price. So we've got that table as well, Anthony. Then we can get into our mid-morning market update, but seeing some real shoots of green, as you'd say, across the market today.
Yeah, no, the Bitcoin price hit 66,000 literally just before we come on air. And in terms of the mining stock prices there, majority of the miners are in green today. We only actually see at the moment, I think it's Core Scientific are lagging behind a little bit, just slightly in the red, and they were pre-market. They were up significantly, 5 or 6% pre-market, so they pulled back a little bit there. And it may be that when you look at the sort of top of the stocks today, you've got the likes of CleanSpark, Marathon, IREN, Wolf. Some of the sort of like pure play miners seem to have a better day than those that have been associated with HPC business models. So, CleanSpark have categorically said time and time again and reiterated that at the Bitcoin conference that they're not interested in using any of their power for HPC, not even, I suppose, if a major company, came along. And also Zach also indicated that maybe that deal with Core Scientific and CoreWeave is probably a one-off. And that'll be interesting because we know that a couple of the stocks, interestingly, TeraWulf and Cypher Mining, both of those stocks have been associated with potentially an announcement coming out. I mean, in terms of TeraWulf, they've got no hash rate growth targets at all for 2025, so they'll get to 13 by the end of the year, but there's nothing in plan for next year. They've just managed to increase the extension at the Lake Mariner site to now, I think, totaling about 80 years. And that was an interesting update because people are now speculating that update is aligned to the fact that they'll make an announcement now that they've got the land for a long period. And bear in mind, these HPC deals, they're not for 2 or 3 years. I mean, they're generally for, probably 12, 15, 20 years with extensions on top of that. And with the lease that they currently had, once you start looking at an initial time frame with extensions, it probably wasn't enough to satisfy a major client. And therefore, they've gone out and done all the necessary due diligence to get that lease extended to 80 years. That gives them a good lead time now to certainly come up with an announcement. But the market today is looking pretty much at the sort of like, Marathon and CleanSpark in terms of, two of the bigger pure play miners. We know Marathon might pivot across to HPC. They've just appointed two directors with a background in them data centers. So, that can tell you that Fred is also, like he's done on many other strategies, moving, changing the strategy and moving towards that HPC. But CleanSpark leading the day today, nearly 12% up as we started the call, and overall a good day for miners.
Well, and it's an interesting observation you make, Anthony, and it does really make sense. We had said on the channel originally around 110, 115,000 is kind of the intersection between Bitcoin mining and HPC margins. Now we've heard closer to maybe 130, but as the price of Bitcoin starts to creep up, I guess the ratios compared to HPC do start to look more favorable. And I have seen a few quotes saying, hey, if you're going to dedicate 20, 30, 40% of your megawatts to HPC, that means when Bitcoin rallies, your stock's going to rally 20, 30, 40% less than the peer plays. So it does make sense. Although, as you and I have talked about, we do think Coors is still a discount, even based on these prices. So with that being said, Anthony, a lot of movement in the miners. Miner madness is a reflection of those movements. And we've got an update here this morning, courtesy of our admin team, basically showing the analyst picks here. So we reached out to all of the top names in the X space on YouTube, ourselves included. We put together our picks. Now, we would expect this list to change quite a bit along with miner volatility this week. But as things stand this morning, Anthony, you and I are looking quite favorable, first and second, followed by A-Trades actually in third. Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today.
Yeah, no, it's certainly interesting that in literally the first less than 2 weeks, we've seen the table now spread. If you look at the total amount of gain compared to so taking the first place total value away from the position in last place at the moment, you're looking at a gain of about a total of about $77 at the spread across all the entries, and that's just after effectively 12, 13 days. And we've got a tie at the top at the moment. So this is really important because I asked everyone in the event of a tie, I need to know what their Bitcoin price is going to be. Unfortunately, the two leaders at the moment in the main competition have got different Bitcoin prices. So we will have if that was to stay the same to the end of the year, that's a clear indication there. But moving to the analysts live, we're sort of like at the moment we're in a reasonably good position in first and second on that table, and then we've got the likes of A-Trade, Unbuy Sebastian, Bitcoin Bella, Freedom, and then Bitcoin Mining Guy and DR Lewis sort of holding up at the rear there. So, and actually we talked about this before the podcast, and you look at the stocks that the analysts have picked, and you couldn't really fault many of the choices. If you look at DR Lewis, and he's probably in the bottom 10% of all entries. He's got IREN, Bit Digital, and TeraWulf, and you could put a case for every one of those mining companies without any doubt whatsoever. I mean, IREN, have the highest growth in hash rate in the last 2 years of any mining company. 1,700% in terms of hash rate growth. So, and they reached $15.50 this year. They're currently around probably about $8.50 or slightly below. Bit Digital, in terms of HPC, have the largest HPC contract currently in process. So they're delivering, at the moment, over $50 million of revenue annualized, and that's likely to increase significantly by the end of the year because they've got a target of 100 million. Yes, next year becomes the year of Core Scientific when they start rolling in the revenues from the CoreWeave deal. But at the moment, we look at the miners that have got a HPC business. there are a number of miners. You've got Hive, you've got IREN, you've got Soluna. You've got TeraWulf have got they've got a project, I think a couple of megawatts there, but they're going to start ramping up now with another 20 megawatts at the Lake Mariner site. And then you've got the Bit Digital deal itself. So three good picks, but the share price from the time the competition started to today hasn't reflected on all those three stocks, and all three stocks are in the red. If we look at the table that shows us the best performing mining stocks, this is interesting because you may not have picked these stocks to be at the top there, but Riot currently the top performing mining stock since the competition started with an increase of 19.4%, followed by Cypher. CleanSpark having a great day today. They're in third place. Core Scientific have had a great, I'd like to say a great 12 day, but they've had a great 2024 in terms of their share price coming out of Chapter 11 on the 24th of January. The share price, in that early period of the year was lower than $3, and you see it today at $13. So they've had a great run this year, but some great announcements. Galaxy in fifth place, Marathon Digital, Hive Digital, and you've got probably about 10 miners going all the way down to Bitdeer in positive territory. And then you look at some of the miners that are in negative territory, and then you've got the likes of IREN, who've had a great day today. They're only 0.5% down now. They were 9% down on Friday. So they've recovered quite nicely today from that position there. You've got the likes of DMG, TeraWulf's down 4%, Hut's down 4%, Bit Digital down 5%, Bitfarms down 8%. I mean, who would have thought Bitfarms? They were the third most chosen mining in the competition. And so if you've got Bitfarms in your portfolio, down 8.1% on that particular choice there. Stronghold Mining, again, if you think about that, they're about to be, bought out by Bitfarms in Q1 of 2025, they're down 10%. And then at the bottom of the table, you've got Gryphon Mining down 16.2%. So that's a sort of the array of miners at the moment there. So it's a really interesting competition. Bear in mind, we're on day 14 or day 13 today, and we've still got the best part of nearly 3 months to go.
I was going to say, I guarantee you these will not be the final standings, but it is interesting to see that spread widening, Anthony, and surprising to see Gryphon down double digits when we're seeing such strength in Bitcoin as well. Now, you mentioned Bit Digital and Hut 8. We have interviews scheduled this week, actually. We have Hut 8 tomorrow with Sue Ennis. Then we've got Sam Tabar and Bit Digital the following day, Anthony. So that'll be great to get some updates there. We also are starting to schedule Q3 earnings calls as well. So we're getting those in the calendar. Again, on the Power Mining Analysis website, you're able to go in, not only see when the earnings dates are scheduled, but also when our interviews are scheduled. And then you can start to formulate and submit some questions as well. Now, the last thing I wanted to pick your brain on, Anthony, before I let you go here, MicroStrategy. So this is one you and I have been talking about a lot. I think every breakfast in Amsterdam, we are scratching our heads in terms of the valuation of the company based on the valuation of their Bitcoin. So essentially, if you buy $1 or essentially it would cost $2.70 to get $1 worth of Bitcoin in MicroStrategy. Really a head scratcher, Anthony, for us. We're starting to see some of the miners actually outpace MicroStrategy today. And this was a common consensus in the miner mafia. A lot of people were saying, hey, these proxies peak at different points in the cycle. Don't exit your miners to go into MicroStrategy now because the tables may turn. And today is the first sign of life there.
Yeah, I mean, you highlight a good point. MicroStrategy currently valued at over $43 billion. I'll just repeat that, $43 billion. If you were to add up all the mining companies that we cover, that's 15 or 16 of the miners there, you get to a total of about 21 billion. So MicroStrategy is twice the value of effectively some of the top 16 or 15 biggest miners in North America. So if you take Marathon Digital, which is the largest Bitcoin mining company in North America by market capitalization, and also by HODL. Um, their market capitalization is, $5.2 billion. And if you look at that compared to the stack that MicroStrategy have, they've probably got something like 10 times more Bitcoin on the balance sheet, but there's probably about 8 times the size of market capitalization. So, arguably you could say, is Marathon also given a premium for its Bitcoin hodl as well? Bear in mind, these big mining companies have a lot of machines which have a value, and they have these facilities that have a value as well. Whereas MicroStrategy effectively won't have significant amounts of infrastructure or machines. Their software business, although it's reasonable size, it's not driving their valuation. Their valuation is driven really by the fact they hold, over 250,000 Bitcoin, and so. That just gives you a little bit of indication of how some of the miners perceive there. So there is essentially a correlation.
One other point I was going to say, Anthony, and you and I talked about this as well, is when Bitcoin prices are depressed, there's not a lot of difference between what MicroStrategy can buy Bitcoin for and what these guys have to pay to produce it. Now that Bitcoin is starting to move a little bit, and we talked to Zach Bradford about this as well. Bitcoin miners' costs are relatively fixed at this point, right? The price of electricity, the price of their machines, their infrastructure, that stuff's already sunk into the business. Now the margins just start to move. So I think this is where we might start to see a divergence in terms of the return on investment. If Michael Saylor wants to go out and buy more Bitcoin, he's going to be buying close to all-time highs now.
Absolutely. So if the mining companies are producing Bitcoin, and some of them articulated that they're producing it around about $35,000 a coin. I mean, look at IREN now with an efficiency rate of 16 joules a terahash, the lowest of all the Bitcoin miners out there, and an energy price of about just over 3 cents a kilowatt hour to match that efficiency. They'll be producing Bitcoin under 30,000. And the price there at 65,000, if it gets to 80,000, the impact of that should give the likes of some of these mining companies with with really good efficiency, with low cost of power, should give them a spike up in comparison to MicroStrategy. Actually, clearly stated, they're going to have to buy Bitcoin for a lot more when it gets as the price increases. So, but they have been, they have got I think their average is something like 37,000. So they have got, that 250,000 Bitcoin, the largest public company to hold Bitcoin in the world. And so, they're getting a really good premium for that. And we talked about it earlier on about, well, wouldn't it just be better just to buy Bitcoin and hold on to it because there's no premium there. You can just hold on to that price there. So it's interesting, the dynamics of this. I've seen a lot of people who've had mining stocks move into MicroStrategy as a more of a pure proxy play for Bitcoin. So we've talked before about Bitcoin being, a way getting invested in Bitcoin before the e-test was through the mining companies. MicroStrategy was another one that you could go in through there. Coinbase was another stock that you could have picked at the time. Then, if you look at Coinbase's price this year, that's certainly rallied as well. So there's another non-mining company that with a great proxy for Bitcoin. So it's interesting dynamics. I still think the volatility of the mining stocks makes it that little bit more interesting for some of the more savvy investors. But you've got to remember, the price does go up, quickly, but goes down even quicker. So it's timing in the Bitcoin mining market. Whereas the MicroStrategy tends to be a lot more correlated with Bitcoin price there. So as it increases, it's not as big a jump today. But I take my hat off to Michael Saylor. He's certainly picked the right horse there to take it through these last 4 years, and no one can doubt. He's certainly he can tell you all the reasons why the Bitcoin price is going to get to where it is in the next few years. And if you haven't listened to any of his speeches on this matter, then go on and have a look through YouTube. There's a number of them on out there. Really great to listen to him. If you're feeling down about Bitcoin price, put Michael Saylor half an hour on. You'll be feeling pumped up by the end of it, because believe you me, even when Bitcoin price is dropping, he never changed the signal at all.
No, he
Bye.
is a motivational guy in the Bitcoin space. And as they say, Anthony, there's no free lunch with investing, and everything's got a price. And the price you pay in the mining sector is volatility. So you've got to be able to stomach that. But it does get easier the more times you go through the ups and downs. And it's great to see that we're now starting to be paid off for that patience. So a very strong start to the week. Great looking day for the miners. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the week. As mentioned, we've got Bit Digital on Wednesday. We've got Hut 8 tomorrow. And on top of that, we've got our Miner Madness competition in full swing. So make sure you go on the website, check out the live leaderboard. We're starting to actually receive prizing. We got a box in from Cypher today. CleanSpark is on the way. We're going to be putting together some great gift boxes here for the winners and should be an awesome competition to end out 2024. Anthony, thanks for your time today. You guys hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Let us know how the portfolio is looking today, and we'll see you here tomorrow.